were very upset with brokers.
Why in this internet world do you need a physical person to show you houses, and why should I pay 1 month of my hard-earned money of rent to this guy? The way in which it has evolved in India is that even a panwala can become a broker.
So you were bored of the steady paycheck at the end of the month.
So I think it was a sort of midlife crisis as to where am I going. One day we saw that some 50-60 people are standing outside the building, but they were actually brokers who wanted to break the office.
Buy or rent?
Rent. If you are not looking for emotional well-being.
Would you suggest that everyone who wants to leave their 9-to-5 job should do it?
I think huge amount of drive you should have. Just because you had a fight with your boss doesn't mean that you leave your job.
Welcome to this episode of The Disruptors. I'm Tamanna Inamdar. If you have to sell a house, buy a house, rent out a house, or find a tenant, the system is maybe a WhatsApp group, maybe go to your local broker and then hope for the best, including the chance of paying a hefty brokerage fee. Now, all of this got upended about 11 years ago with nobroker.com. Since then, there have been many versions of this service which has been offered where people find each other online for no fee or a minimal fee and then go on to find their dream home. The idea behind No Broker is truly disruptive because it changed a system and a sector which, though unorganized, has been thriving for decades. Talking about that journey with us today is Amit Agarwal. Amit, thank you so much for your time on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, tell us where the idea came from.
So the idea basically came from all three of us founders some 11-12 years back. And we had shared experiences because all of us shifted jobs, shifted cities. And we felt we had this just simple question as to why are we paying such a high amount of brokerage to this stranger who is only just exchanging phone numbers and showing me house. So the idea was just a simple question and exploring that question.
Where was this happening? Which city?
So we were in Bombay and Bangalore, respectively, all three of us co-founders. We shifted cities. For example, I'll give you an example that in Bombay, I wanted to change my house in the same building, in the same society complex. There was no way that I could do it. Despite living in the same society complex, I had to cross the road, go to a broker, pay him money, and then get a flat in the same building on a higher floor. So we realized that there is too much of the brokerage and a broker, I would say, control over properties when in this internet world, everything should be accessible. If I can send a friend request to anyone in the world, why can't the owner and I connect? So we understood and we realized that no one else in the world has done it before. And that way we are asking a very, very basic question, and perhaps the so-called holy cow of why should a broker exist? But our question was, why in this internet world do you need a physical person to show you houses, and why should I pay 1 month of my hard-earned money of rent to this guy?
So, give us the backdrop of what was happening in your life at that point, because you IIT Kanpur, then, in the professional space, then an IIM Ahmedabad graduate, working, and then suddenly one day you wake up and say, no, I'm going to turn into an entrepreneur.
So see, I started my this No Broker initiative along with my friends when I was in my mid-30s. So from that perspective, 35 years is not a great time to start your own company because you end up collecting EMI. So I had a mortgage, I had a car EMI. We were expecting our second kid. So from that perspective, it's a very bad time. But then the question is also this, that if you don't start, even at this age, when will you start? So anyway, I felt that I'm late. So that was a difficult decision. And I had a good career. So for example, after IIM Ahmedabad, management consulting was a very rewarding profession in terms of challenges, in terms of different cities, different clients. But then it started feeling more monotonous. So I was a strategy head in a foreign bank, and it felt that there is not enough challenge. So the mind was looking for a challenge.
So you were bored of the steady paycheck at the end of the month.
So I think it was a sort of midlife crisis as to where am I going, and is the objective just to chase another increment, another salary, or is there some challenge which can be explored?
So how did you fund this entrepreneurial bug slash midlife crisis at that point when, so this light bulb goes off, three friends among two different cities say, hey, we don't want to pay brokerage, let's create a solution for people who can find each other.
So we basically funded from our own savings. So whatever savings I had gathered, I did a calculation and found that I can survive for 2 years with whatever savings we had. We figured out later that 2 years reduced to 1.5 years, because when you start business, the expenses quickly grow and you're not earning anything. My wife wanted to leave the job because of the baby, but she couldn't. So she supported. She supported. And then all of us basically poured in our savings. We used to pay whatever employees we had, not in office, but working from home in that time, through our savings account, marketing money through our savings account. So that's what we did.
My God, so quite a punt. But it turned out to be the right idea at the right time, isn't it? Because in its early days, it picked up fairly quickly as a refreshing change. I recall this when people were like, okay, you have an option not to pay brokerage. How did that work out for you?
So yes, people did accept it. But if you look from a traditional definition of a startup growth, it was very slow. Why it was very slow is because just getting 100 customers a day is not good enough, because say if you have a property in Khar, but the tenant is looking for property in Bandra, it will not work out. So you need this micro locality matchmaking to happen, which takes a lot of time. So that is why No Broker is a C2C platform. Customer on one side, on the other side also customer. It's extremely difficult. You want to open an e-commerce platform, you can do a tie-up with a mobile company and a courier company, and you are open. The entire country is open for you to deliver that product. But for real estate, it's a matchmaking. So it was extremely painful in the starting few years. I think it took us 4 or 5 years till we got a critical mass where we could say that, okay, if you come to No Broker, you will get what you're looking for.
No, and in those 4-5 years, a lot of excitement, a lot of challenges. I was surprised to learn that you still don't give your address out. So if you go online and you try and look for where Amit's address is, you're not going to find it. Tell us why.
So we basically, one day when we, in the initial years, this is long back in 15, we instead of taking a corporate office, we just took a home because it was cheaper. And we faced so many challenges in getting funding that we were extremely frugal. So we just took a house. And one day we saw that some 50, 60 people are standing outside the building. And we were unsure as to what we thought, that it must be some procession which is going on. But they were actually brokers who wanted to break the office, who wanted to break computers, beat our people so that we can close the office. Because some of the customers told them that we will first look at No Broker and then we are going to come and talk to you. So they were pretty upset. We called police, did not get much help. We went to the police station, but broker stayed there. So thankfully we had an iron grill door, which we closed. So not a big damage happened. But after that, it was impossible to work from there because the brokers used to constantly harass the female employees who used to leave office after work, the motorbikes which are parked outside. So they made sure that we cannot function from that office.
No, but that sounds like a mafia. And was there any physical assault?
So they did. So they did beat a couple of our employees, and even today, so as recent as just 2 months back, many of our relationship managers in Pune who go and who show the houses to the clients, what some of the brokers did was they tied up with the security guards. And the moment a No Broker employee enters the building, the security guard called the broker. They came and they physically thrashed our guy. Did not happen just once, happened 7, 8 times. So then we had to go to police station, and even in the police station, they had the audacity to come in the group and threaten us inside the police station. So I'm not saying all the brokers are like this, but there are some brokers or some friends of brokers who are goon-like.
No, it's that's very concerning what you're talking about because, okay, reflecting on people who are finding threat to their livelihood, but also reflecting on our system that cannot protect a business. We want to have an ease of business, an ease of a new idea to flourish. So this is where you require authorities to come and support, isn't it?
I think it is also because of this background that in India, unlike the Western countries, where there's a registration of a broker, you need to pass an exam, you need to get a certification, you can't collect all money in cash. The way in which it has evolved in India is that even a panwala can become a broker. And hence he can collect all the money in cash with no accountability, no responsibility. And this has attracted a lot of fly-by-night operators. So in the brokerage industry, there are some great brokers who really care about clients, as we were discussing earlier. And those brokers, no one can take business from them. And I don't think that those are the brokers who are getting worried. I think the people who are making very quick money, who don't care about clients, they are the ones who are very upset because easy money is going away.
No, it's truly shocking. But having said that, after all of that, you've grown to a company at the size of 8,500 crores, more than 6,000 customers, 6,000 employees, huge brands and huge names coming in and funding you. So there is something that's working somewhere. How are you convincing all of your investors?
No, I think the initial few years are very difficult. So when we went for our first funding, no one funded us for almost a year.
What was the first pitch like?
So first pitch, and I think even today's pitch is very similar. And the pitch is this, that India is a large market. Across the country, every year, $20 billion worth of brokerage is being paid from the pocket of common man, because they are connecting two parties with each other. And we see this as a sign of inefficiency in the system. And we said we want to correct it. And the rebuttal was, if this is such a good idea, why hasn't anybody else in the world done it? And the answer is we don't know. We know about India, we know about this problem. So I think we went across the town, everybody rejected us. They used to call us because we are from IIT. So at least we used to get the meeting, but it never used to get converted. And I think eventually one investor, which is SAF Partners, they said, okay, let's take this bet. The guys, they look fine. So they gave us our first check of $3 million. But after that, for next 4 or 5 years, there was no funding from any Indian investor. So nobody touched us. Because of many other previous real estate players, people had burned their fingers. So we basically gathered money wherever we could, from some HNI in Japan, we were the first company to get funded from a South Korean investor. Not because we are great, but because we just found him somehow, because we had no other option. And I think it is only after 4, 5, 6, 7 years when the compounding happened, when more and more customers came, when we diversified from real estate to packers and movers to other accessories, that the numbers started speaking for themselves and the customer trust grew. That's when the big investors, so-called Tiger and General Atlantic and Moore, all of them came.
Yeah, the list of investors is impressive. What do you tell them when they ask you about where the revenue model is?
So our revenue model is very simple. The default option in no broker is free. So as an owner, as a tenant, you come on no broker, you use no broker, it's free. But if you are a customer who needs some help, you are a busy customer in your life, then we have services on a la carte basis. And then customers asked us, what about rental agreement? What about painting? What about deep cleaning? What about furniture? So now we have basically become this one-stop shop which provides all of this.
So your customer base is around 3 crores right now. Out of that, how many come in for the free service?
So I would say majority of the customer, more than 90%, come for free, and we are very happy with that because we don't incur any service in terms of physical expense. So broadly, no broker acts like Facebook. We don't own the property, so we don't own the content. Someone else posts the content. We don't do we don't go and visit that property. Owner and tenants are doing it on their own. So happy to do that. But if you want some additional service, then we are here to help you.
So how does that lead to profitability? I think the one challenge for a lot of great ideas, great companies, they get the investors, but they have the visibility or the path to profitability is fraught with thorns. How do you manage that? What is the math?
So we are on the path to profitability, and I think we'll be profitable by the same time next year. And the reason why it is not that difficult for us is because from day one, we never spend money like crazy. So I think perhaps it is because we started our company in our mid-30s, so we were not those young, bratish 25s who who has seen the money for the first time. I think we are very, very frugal. So in the initial years, even today, from the startup standard, we are extremely frugal.
You think it's important, sorry, a segue over here, but do you think it's important for success to be frugal when you're talking about these 20-something brash startup founders who, want to maybe spot the latest watch, the best car? You think that's a bad idea?
So I would say yes and no both. See, it's very easy for me to say, yes, you should be frugal, you should respect money a lot from a moral high ground. But you also need to think from a founder perspective. If you are in an industry, for example, right now, quick commerce, extremely competitive, extremely discount driven, very, very aggressive. Now in this industry, if you are not aggressive, if you don't burn money, you are not going to gain market share. So there are times when war is going on and then you need to spend. But the moment war is over, the moment there is some peace, you need to quickly return to the roots, which is about frugality. Because if you keep on building bad habits, it is very painful to reverse that.
I would argue that you're also in the middle of a war. The moat is not high to do something like this. Others have gone into it as well. Those who list properties, there are more than enough.
So here the moat is that do the owners come to your site and post the property? If you look at any other platform in India in real estate, every platform is infested with brokers.
Infested with. No wonder they don't like you.
So why I use the word infested is because the property says that it is posted by owner. But when you click on that property, you find a broker behind. So no broker is now India's #1 real estate portal. No one comes close to us. We are the only platform which only has owners. It's a huge moat because the business is such that customers won't flock to you because they anyway use such a service once in a year or once in 2 years. So these C2C platforms, their nature is such that they are very difficult to build. But once they are built, they have a longevity because customers have used them once, and if their experience is okay, they will come again and they will use it. They will not change their habit unless they are disappointed. So it's both an issue but also a benefit.
Do you have that metric of how many customers return for once their lease is over or their second year is over?
So the way in which we track is how many customers came back, which came to us. Today that number is so big that if we get 100 customers every month, more than half of them are old customers. Yes, so it's a very high retention, and our main marketing is word of mouth. We do all type of marketing, but in such businesses, word of mouth is most important.
Are you set then on the path that all startups take, which is to IPO?
Yeah, so the plan is to basically be profitable in next 12 months, and then perhaps in next 36 months, we want to do IPO.
Why? Why do you want to raise money?
I think multiple reasons. First of all, IPO as a process basically brings a lot of maturity to the organization, maturity to the process of the organization. And second is it also basically gives an exit to a lot of people who have given lots of years to know brokers. For example, our top team who has been with us for years and years, it helps liquidate their ESOPs, their investments. So financially, it basically becomes very beneficial.
Yeah, no, I agree completely from the point of view of the company raising money. But looking at the experience investors have had, and I mean retail investors in IPOs recently, and it could be market conditions, etc., there is a sense, especially in this space, tech-based companies, that it's a cash out for the promoters and the investors, and the retail investor is left holding the bag.
But the good thing is that this is a self-correcting mechanism. So just like any other industry matures, I think this is the process that anyway the industry has to go to. 5 years back, this thought that we will do an IPO would not have come because companies were basically thinking about doing IPO in Singapore or in US. Still, many companies in India are basically shifting their jurisdiction from US to India because 5-7 years back, the thought of doing IPO in India was not possible for a tech company, but that has happened. Now, the second problem that you have witnessed is that many of these startups listed higher valuation and then the price corrected. But there are many others whose price zoomed after IPO. So I think this is how anyway the process has to happen.
So you're promising that you will not bring an IPO at an exorbitant valuation. You leave something for retail investors as well?
Of course, because everybody now in startup industry has learned this the hard way. And anyway, nobody now, when the new IPOs are coming, you would see that they are much saner. Because even the investment banker is not allowing you to price it higher. And as a startup founder, you also realize that if retail investors make money, then it's a huge positive word of mouth for the company also, which is very beneficial for the long term.
So in terms of, just coming back to the point of competition, and you talked about how other players in this space are nowhere near you are. I think for everyone in this ecosystem, the competition is also above and beyond. Social media, for example, WhatsApp groups in localities. You talked about micro localities. So that's where people maybe find each other and cut out the broker in any case. How do you deal with that kind of competition coming in?
So see, from a zoom out perspective, we are perfectly okay if people are able to close the deal with each other. Because wasn't that our main objective from day one? So why should we have 100% market share? But what's happening right now is that for example, when I WhatsApp on my society group, 5 brokers will respond. Because many of the brokers are also living in the same society. They have made so much money and they are living in the same society.
I think you are very upset with brokers. Apart from that 2005 incident, is that something that really bothers, 2015 incident, is that something that really bothers you?
So the answer is yes and no. There are some brokers who are really good and we don't want their business and we cannot get their business and we are okay with it. But there are a lot of fly-by-night operators, as I said earlier, which are really making the name of the industry tarnished, right? Because when you talk about real estate, the first thought which comes into many people's mind is number do ka paisa and inefficiency in the transaction. So when you try to place an order for a book, you don't get those feelings. But in real estate, you still get those feelings, which means the industry is correcting and needs to correct more, needs to become better. Still today, even after us being in the business for 11 years, we still hold what? 7, 8, 10% of the market share. We hold 85% of online market share. But online plus offline, we are still 8%. So we still have a long way to go. And the problem is still unsolved.
So there's enough for everyone to go. Tell me about the strategy with diversification. So painting, deep cleaning, registration, you mentioned movers and packers, everything allied. Do you think that you're spreading yourself too thin or this is the way forward?
So I think the answer is twofold. One is that we did not launch these services because we thought that this is extra source of revenue, which it is. But the first thought came because customers said that we require it. Customer asked us, can you recommend a packer mover to us? They did ask us as to, can you recommend someone who will do this legal documentation for us? So we realized that there's a broken piece in this entire chain. And many of the things broker is not doing. So broker will give you another phone number of painting, but he will not take the responsibility of painting.
Yeah, he's outsourcing it.
He's outsourcing it. So one is that in the entire real estate chain, you need these services. So hence this came. And second point is our culture. So I think what is amazing about is no broker culture. And that is why within no broker, I would say there are at least 50 leaders who act as pure entrepreneurs. So the painting head runs painting as an independent business. We founders don't intervene much. We give him huge accountability, huge responsibility. And that's how many of the leaders do. Most of them are from IITs, IIMs, very bright people. I think it is because of them that we are able to do so many businesses. Otherwise, if you micromanage, you can only do 1 or 2 businesses.
So do you have a preference? Do you hire only from IIT and IIM?
So at the leadership level, we do have a preference for IITians. Because all of us 3 founders are IITians. So we feel that we gel well with IITians.
So what comes next? Now, you said you're looking at perhaps listing in the next 36 months. There needs to be a story and a growth factor, right? Is it more of the same, increasing market share? Is that the vision? Or is it now expanding the services? Because now you're also facilitating home loans, etc. What is the next step?
So I think we are already into lots of services. So from a customer perspective, I think we have covered end to end. Now it is more about expansion in more cities. So right now we are only in 6 cities. So across the country, there's a huge opportunity. Second is within these 6 cities also, our market share ranges from 5% to 20%. So huge opportunity to grow within these cities also. So I think two or three main things. One is more cities. Second is more penetration in the existing cities. And third is even the ticket sizes. Because right now what we are doing is, if suppose we 100 customers use our real estate services, perhaps 10 use our packer mover services. So that percentage within those, that also needs to increase a lot. So I think these are three levers that we are looking for.
So you've not got the serial entrepreneur bug, is it? Because a lot of people who make it big in their first, business, then want to cash out and try something new, try something. You're in Bengaluru. That's what everyone's doing, right? You've not got that bug.
So I think within No Broker, there have been so many businesses.
No, that's true. But it's allied at the end of the day.
No, I think we are very happy doing No Broker. It has kept us busy for the past 10 years. It'll keep us busy for the next 10 years also. So happy doing this, happy making it bigger and bigger.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. This was a fascinating conversation on when to make that change. You've called it a midlife crisis. I don't know if it really was, but it's definitely one that's worked out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.